Hey, good day to you. This is Stan Prochowski with Prochowski Estate Law, and this is the Ask Stan show every Thursday at 12 noon, where I answer all your estate planning questions submitted throughout the week. If you have a question about wills, trusts, Medicaid pre-planning, Medicaid crisis planning, the nursing home, or just estate planning in general, just send them to me here on Facebook or call me at 363-7222 or email me at prochowskiestatelaw@gmail.com. I'll answer them live on WKSR Radio, and we post them here on the Ask Stan show every Thursday. So, let's get right to it.
Stan Prochowski, oldie of the week, from 65, Mr. Tambourine Man, like you said, written by Bob Dylan.
It was, and you know who was in the Byrds when they first started in 1964?
One of the Crosby, Stills.
David Crosby.
Yeah, David Crosby, that's right. Knew that. Good to see you this morning.
Good to see you.
I told Robert Brindley when he was here this morning, I came by to visit with you yesterday, fellowship, see how you were going. I could not get past Alex or Tanya. I can't get past their desk. But I did peek in your office and I saw what I thought was a big glass of iced tea in there yesterday. That's as far as I could get, but you just keep on free roam with the station right here.
That's right. Well, you know, if you need to see me, they'll let you through. But their job is to run interference for the most part.
That's right. They do it well. Good to see you. I'm glad y'all are here this morning. What are we talking about today, Stan?
Well, you know, I'm going to start off, remind everybody about my seminar coming up. I've got two of them coming up. One on May the 6th, which I guess is a week from today. And that was over in Lawrenceburg with WLX, the sister station there. In the back of that building is the Country Cafe. Got a nice big space where you can spread out and we can have it's going to be there. And we also have another one the following Thursday, which is the 13th, and that was going to be here in Pulaski, up on the square at the Star Theater. Now we do them twice a day, once at 1 p.m. and then again at 6 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
So you can pick the one that suits you the best, but you need to call an RSVP because we like to keep a head count so we can spread out. And, we usually like to have some light refreshments, and so we know what to expect. But if you're interested, you probably ought to call because they're filling up fast. It seems to be real popular this time around. So, but one of the things I tell people when they RSVP for my seminar, which is called Wills, Trust, and a Nursing Home. So what I tell folks, I say, hey, bring your questions. You know, we'll stick around and answer questions as long as you want. And so I get a lot of interesting questions, you know, from folks that are signing up. And but I want to go over a story that sort of was sparked by some questions in the office recently, and how some of this stuff works out. And it had a case where, you know, had a single parent, was a mother. She had some 4 daughters, and she started to have onset of dementia. Okay, it wasn't necessarily Alzheimer's. You know, there's several forms of dementia, but they all have the same basic mental effect. And it's, you know, when that sets up, she didn't have any kind of plan in place. And when that sort of stuff starts, it's not too late to put something in place. It's that's kind of a red flag because as she started to decline, then she wasn't able to make her own medical decisions or legal affairs, and then they had to appoint a conservative to do it for her. So if you wait, once you lose that power, then the power's gone. You can't give it to someone.
Well, usually dementia doesn't happen all at once. I will tell you, this is dear and near to me because I watched dementia put down my dad.
Yep.
I remember in 1994 is when he first noticed it. He would tell me the same thing several times, and as he went on, he died in 2010. Gradually got worse and worse, and when he died, he did not know who I was, his son. But getting back to our question, usually dementia doesn't happen all at one time, right?
Well, that's right. It's a progressive disease. It's onset. You don't just wake up one morning and have advanced dementia where, like I said, you couldn't remember who you were. I mean, that comes on slow. But that's a big red flag when that happens, especially to the family. Something needs to be done because it's not too late. Because a lot of folks, will get up with me and say, hey, something happened to my mom. She left the will, but she had dementia, so that will can't be right. And usually that's somebody that's disgruntled.
Well, I was already kind of familiar with it because his mother, my grandmother, had the exact same thing, and the symptoms were just alike.
Yep.
Yeah.
So, you know, when you have dementia, you still have enough capacity to put certain documents and certain powers into place. You know, people have good days and bad days, or good times and bad times, and really the criteria, the bar is pretty low for capacity. You just simply have to be able to know what you're, and understand what you're doing at the time you're doing it. The fact that you do something and can't remember it the next day, that's not really part of the capacity determination. So, anyway, similar to what you were saying, you know, this mother, she had 4 daughters, and 3 of them got along real well, but there was a 4th. You know, there's always the spoiled one that causes trouble. They had a big protracted legal battle trying to figure out who was going to be the conservator for their mother. Now, here's something Mom should have done. Mom should have chose who she trusts, and you know, she should have picked one of them that was the better person suited. Now, if she didn't want any conflict, you know, she could have picked somebody outside the family. It didn't have to be a daughter. It can be somebody else. So,
All right, well, if you have several children and one doesn't get along and wants to cause problems, does that ruin everything for the others?
well, you know, it can, because, like I said, once somebody wants to complain about something, you know, you're in court. You know, conservatorship, you're in court in the first place, because that's court-appointed power of attorney. Really is what I call it. And you know, if somebody wants to throw a monkey wrench into the works, well, you know, then the court has to make a decision because the people can't agree. And so, you know, if you're going to have a hearing with court, you know, the state's going to have to spend the state funds to defend what the challenges are. And so it really kind of messes it up for everybody, because we can't get anywhere until we resolve these issues that we're fighting about. So anyway, in this case, finally they all agreed they would appoint a family member. Not a family, but a family friend. In my opinion, this was kind of a mistake, because when you have a dementia, I mean, you're dealing with someone who's headed for some level of care, because it is progressive. And you're finally going to reach a point where they're going to need, you know, continuous care. But if you appoint someone outside the family, I think it's important that you probably ought to go out of your way and appoint somebody with some kind of knowledge for what's coming down the pike, you know, long-term care sort of thing. So anyway, a few months later, what happened with this family was the mother started running out of money, and the conservator, you know, needed to sell the home to raise the resources for her care. Now again, I think this is a mistake, because there are several strategies that will allow us to sell the house without losing all the proceeds to the cost of care. And we can still get the care that Mom needs and still salvage some of her assets. She doesn't have to go broke just because she needs long-term care. So now when this started happening, the one daughter, the estranged daughter, started causing a lot of disruption in the process, because she wanted the house deeded to them, you know, now, so it wouldn't be lost to the cost of care.
Right.
Maybe self-serving, maybe not, but anyway, that would have been a disastrous effect, because if the mother would have deeded it to them during life, I mean, that would have resulted in a period of ineligibility for the mother, and then they're stuck private paying, and now they don't have the wherewithal to pay because they've now already deeded the house away. So, you know, if the mother would have put something into place, healthcare proxy or a power of attorney, then what she wanted could have been clear. You don't have to worry about a judge or a court trying to figure out what Mom wanted. No disrespect to the courts; they'll do the best they can, but they don't know the family dynamics. You know, they have to pretty much guess. So, I mean, nobody should want a court to make these decisions if they don't have to. So, you know, if Mom would have selected one of the daughters, it'd have been a lot less difficult on everybody, and the fighting. I mean, the disgruntled child might not have liked it, but that's what would have been done. So,
Well, let me ask you this. If you have an estate plan, can the estranged children challenge you?
good question. They ask all the time, and I'm going to answer this. It may sound a little like a double-sided sword, but let me answer this the best way I can, the most truthful way I can. And that is, I get people a lot of times come and say, here's what I want, and I want to put it in these documents. Can my children now, can they challenge this? And the question is this: I can't control if somebody wants to make a challenge or something. You can't, right? I mean, somebody can file a petition with court. But what we can do is, if you put together a rock-solid, or what I call a bulletproof estate plan, I can't stop them from challenging it, but we can make it next to impossible for them to be successful. Okay, so let's take this. You know, this family. You know, I actually have an actual fact pattern. You know, in my office was relatively similar to this, where a mother, she was a single parent, not a single parent, but she was a surviving spouse, and she was definitely suffering from a lot of dementia, a lot of other physical ailments, and she has 3 children, and she spent most of her time with the one child who took care of her, and got it in her head that she needed to get some planning done because her husband passed away just 6 months before. So she did. We put together an estate plan with all the ancillary documents like the power of attorney, put her property in trust, and appointed the son that takes care of her. Because the other 2 children were around but not nearby and didn't spend much time with her. So she put that person in most of the power. And as it would happen, she eventually passed away. Well, these 3 children just despise each other. I mean, and now after the mother passed away, some of the children want to know, okay, what did she do? What did she do in this trust? What did she leave us? And they're, having got to the trust administration, they're already fighting and arguing about, well, the person in charge, he hates us and he won't do anything and stuff. It's like, now, without getting into that too deeply, you've got this animosity amongst the children. But what we have put in place, so you got 2 people that are disgruntled, probably going to launch some kind of challenge, or at least, complain and whine, is what I'd like to call it. But what we put in place is, during her life, he had the power of attorney for her, and my power of attorneys have withstand a lot of legal scrutiny, and they're strong, and they express all the enumerated powers, even the powers that outside the trust code. So they were strong. Now she has her property in trust, where that person's the trustee. Very rock solid plan. So they may want to challenge it, they may want to complain and whine about it, but they're just not going to be successful. They're going to, because this is what we talked about when we started the segment. Somebody's going to say, hey, Mom did this trust, but she had some dementia when she did it, so that can't be valid. And the answer, well, no. When somebody comes in my office and I think there's any kind of indication of some dementia or something, I ask them certain questions. There's a test that they give folks. I'm not a physician, but there's a test that they give where they ask questions about their understanding and knowledge of what we're doing. And being an officer of the court, I would never let anybody sign anything if I thought they were just too far gone. So, I just, for my own purposes, I'll ask a few questions. When I satisfy myself that they're okay at that time, because I've actually had people that I thought, I'm not comfortable doing this right now.
Have you seen a lot of that, Stan? Over the years?
Yes and no. I mean, I see a lot of it, but I see a lot of this challenging business I'm talking about, which is like after the fact. By the time I get involved, it's after the fact. Do I see a lot of it up front? I'm seeing more and more of that. And maybe it's because we talk about it more. But so these folks had a rock solid plan, and these guys are going to challenge it, they're going to complain. But I think the successor trustee can pretty much sit back and relax and put his feet up and not worry about it too much, because when you have a hard, strong, bulletproof plan, it's just hard for them to be successful. Now, I hate the fact that they would challenge it and you have to deal with it, but bottom line is the people that put the trust together, the deceased, their wishes are going to be honored because we have it set out, and we have it set out practically in stone. So anyway, that's what I wanted to get at. If you haven't got a plan, you need one. We've got these seminars coming up where I'm going to talk about it. We call them Wills, Trust, and the Nursing Home, and that's just what we're going to talk about, because that's what we do at Pachowski Estate Law and Pachowski Elder Law. Is we do estate planning, we write trusts for folks, we protect assets, everything estate planning. So if you're interested in any of that, come to one of my seminars. I've got one here in Pulaski, which will be the Thursday the 13th at 1 o'clock and 6 o'clock, right on the square at the Star Theater. A lot of room there to spread out. And if you want to come over to Lawrenceburg the week before, which is Thursday the 6th, which is a week from today, come on over to WLX, the back of the building there. Just look for the big old tower. And it's like going to the end of the rainbow. Look for the tower and drive to the bottom of it.
It's literally at the bottom of that big tower.
And in the back of that building is the Country Cafe. And it's a great big venue where they dance and pick and grin on Friday nights and stuff. So there's plenty of room to spread out there too. It's a real nice place. So and bring your questions. Call RSVP, talk to Miss Tammy or Miss Alex at the office, and get on the list. And if you have questions, bring them with. I mean, if you come to the 1 o'clock one, I'll stick around and answer questions. I'm only limited by the fact that I got to do it again at 6 o'clock. But I'm more than happy to spend time answering questions specific to your circumstances. So
All right, very good. Stan Perchowski in with his segment this morning. He's here every Thursday morning at 8:30 is when he's here. Always glad to have him. Alex, good to see you. Ms. Office here doing a little filming, and we appreciate it, Stan. Give your contact information one more time.
Okay, I'm on the southeast side of the square, right there in the corner. My phone number is 931-363-7222. Perchowski State Law. Either call or drop in and talk.
All right.
We just keep you from seeing me, Butch.
No,
Not everybody.
I think that was a planned thing yesterday. Anyway, that's all right. That's
Thank
all
you.
right.
Always a pleasure.
You too.